It is Tuesday, December 21st. This is Jaguars Happy Hour. And now, a guy who wants to slide down your chimney and nibble on your cookies, J.P. Shadrick.
Christmas still the 25th this year, right? Yes, it is. Welcome. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. My name's J.P. Shadrick. Glad you're along with us today. It's Week 16. We're about to begin next week. Preparations the Jaguars are for the New York Jets at Metlife Stadium. Busy show ahead as always. Busy 2 hours, in fact. Jaguars analyst Jeff Lageman standing by here. We'll recap Week 15. The game was a piece of Week 15, of course. 30-16 the final score. There was a lot that went into that week, though. Of course, we'll recap some of that also. We'll look ahead to Week 16. The Jags and the Jets, the Jeff Lageman Bowl, coming up this Sunday. The Jaguars Coaches Show at 5 o'clock on the Jaguars Radio Network. Interim head coach Darrell Bevell will join us. We'll get in his head here and see what he's got in mind the last 3 weeks of the season. Now, of course, the Texans and the Jaguars this past Sunday at TIAA Bank Field. Special teams issues, some early penalties. The defense doing what they can. They got a takeaway late to try to keep the team in it. Jags offense as a whole moved it a little better, but still not enough. They had key drops, some missed throws. After the game, interim head coach Darrell Bevell breaking it down.
It really ends up being a normal week. I mean, we're used to all kinds of things that change, and so we have to be ready to make adjustments and be able to adapt to the situation. And thought our guys, whether it was the players or the coaches, did a good job putting a plan together. The guys were ready. They were into it. We just didn't play a clean football game today.
That's after the game, and Jeff Lageman joining us now here on Jaguars Happy Hour. Good afternoon to you, Logs. Merry Christmas.
The Lageman Bowl?
Yeah.
This Sunday?
Jets-Jags. Right?
You know, it was pretty amazing that I've never done this. When I say I've never done this, I think at one time I remember kind of looking at the staff directory of the New York Jets years ago, and there were still a few people left from when I was there. And this was probably like 7-8 years ago.
About business office side?
Everything.
Like anybody?
Everything. I'm talking business side, football side, You name it. And I went back and looked the other day just to see if some of the people that were there a few years back when I last looked were there. And there's nobody. Well, the only guy that is left with that organization from when I was there is Gus, which is the equipment manager now. And at that point, when I was there, he was like an equipment intern, kind of volunteer camp guy. Yeah. And now he's the head equipment guy. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how much turnover. And obviously, change of ownership has happened because when I played there, Leon Hess of Hess Oil Companies was the owner of the New York Jets. In fact, Joe Fortunato, our boss man behind the controls over there that makes our microphones stay on, he has been an avid collector of the Hess oil trucks that used to come out at this time of year every year at the Hess gas station.
There you go.
But anyway, a lot of turnover, and it's a much different organization. In fact, the organization's not even in New York anymore.
No, they're not. They are not.
When I was there, they were at on the campus of Hofstra.
I got to say, Logs, this is my 10th season with the Jaguars in the National Football League. I don't remember a week like the week we just went through around here, with everything building up.
What's so different about it?
Everything building up into the Tennessee game. The Tennessee game happened, a 20-0 loss. The days after that,
JP, I've already moved on.
We're not.
We're JP.
This is the last.
We're on to the Jets.
Are we?
I'm just kidding.
I don't think so. So I don't remember one as just notable and newsworthy and just everything happening. Owner Shad Khan's out in the media that week because it's his 10th anniversary. It happens to fall in the same week all this is going on. And then, I mean, it has been a whirlwind, to say the least.
To say the least, it was crazy. And, a week ago, we're doing this and we're getting ready to do the Urban Meyer show. And we had another drama that unfolded while we were in Nashville with the report by Tom Pelissaro, and then you had the subsequent report. There was another report that same day from another media institution, and then you had the Josh Lambo thing. I mean, it's just so much that was happening, and it was just like, gosh, when are we going to stop with this? When are we going to be able to focus on football? When are we going to start seeing this team start to ascend and get better? And to be perfectly honest with you, I had literally lost hope that we were going to get this thing kind of fixed. And I give Shad Khan a lot of credit because he made the decision that needed to be made. And I'm not one of these guys that sits there and goes, I got to fire the coach, got to fire the coach. You had to fire the coach. I mean, it's the first time I've ever felt that way. You got to fire the coach.
Yeah.
I mean, you really are left with nothing else to do. And look, I would support it no matter what the decision was. But I mean, it was just getting uncomfortable.
And it wasn't a knee-jerk reaction either. This was a process over time.
JP, the moment that the incident happened in Columbus,
that's where it started.
I mean, that's where it started and ended for me.
Yeah, and that's where the first statement from Shad Khan came out. When he's speaking during the season, that says something big.
When ownership comes out and they say that the head coach has to earn the trust and respect back of the people that are in the building. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, that's how embarrassing it was, and it was embarrassing because of the lie. I mean, first of all, you should return back with your football team. That was, rule number one. Rule number two is that if you don't return with your football team, you don't do what you did in a bar, okay, when you claim to be heartbroken after this tremendous loss that you had in Cincinnati, and then you come back and then you explain what happened, and it's a lie because the second video comes out to prove so.
Like 10 minutes after.
And I don't know if this happened or not, but you would assume that the same lie that he kind of explained to us in the media and the public was the same explanation he probably gave to ownership. So I'm sure he lied to ownership too, or you would think that he lied to ownership too, because the second video comes out.
The response from ownership,
and then you got backpedaling, and then the response from ownership, which was on point, and then it was drama, and it was more lies, and when the quarterback, who's 21, 22 years old, shows more maturity than the head coach, that's a problem. And so the right decision was made, and now this organization can move forward and try to get it right this time. And here's the thing. It's understandable what Shad Khan was trying to do with the hiring of Urban Meyer. I came into the league in 1989. And in 1989, Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys, and then he fired Tom Landry and hired Jimmy Johnson. And he was highly scrutinized at that time because Tom Landry was a Dallas favorite son.
The guy's been in the league forever, right?
Hall of Famer.
Yes.
And very unpopular decision, very tough first year. And then all of a sudden, Jimmy takes him to the promised land. So, I mean, I understand what Shad was trying to do. He was trying to do something that was maybe a little bit unconventional of recent time, but trying to capture that lightning in a bottle with bringing a unbelievably successful, ultra successful collegiate coach to the NFL level. And it's happened before. It hasn't happened often to where they've had great success, but it has happened. And so I totally understand it. And we were all hopeful. But then the incident in Columbus, the subsequent issues with James Robinson, the Marvin Jones Jr. report, the lack of awareness when asked questions about the team, the lack of ability to pronounce your own players' names properly, the lack of awareness about the players on your own roster, calling Dwan Smoot a journeyman. No, he's not a journeyman. He was a drafted product here in Jacksonville, and he's been a Jaguar his entire career, and he's now a Jaguar, and hopefully will be a Jaguar.
Fifth year in the league.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's just so – I mean,
all that.
And then you come out and say, and you lied again, you said about the decision to bench James Robinson, well, you got to ask the running backs coach. Came out and admitted just recently, and we all knew at the time it was a lie. And so what does that tell the rest of your staff? When you just hung out one of your guys to the media, and he's not even made available to speak to the media. And if he did, he would have to lie. I mean, it was just like, what are we doing?
So that decision.
Anyway, JP, get me moved
was
on from
made.
this. I was trying to tell you
know
on
what?
to the Jets, and you just drag me
we could just
back
go
into the quagmire
the next
again.
50 minutes with this. I kind of dig this right now, actually. So moving ahead, the announcement came down officially a little after 12:30 a.m. Thursday.
And here comes revisionist history.
That all happened as well. Sure, we've seen a couple days since then of all that, and who knows moving ahead on that. So Darrell Bevell named the interim head coach in that announcement as well, and he wakes up Thursday morning. Wait a minute, I'm leading the thing here. It's Thursday. We play on Sunday. That's got to be a quick turnaround. And as you heard Darrell Bevell say on Thursday when he spoke with the media, hey, yeah, we didn't. It wasn't really around the building for game planning on Wednesday afternoon, so we kind of just started the process, and then all of a sudden, oh gosh, I didn't know I was going to be the interim head coach, but here we are. He's got to lead the thing, and that's a tough spot to be in.
Look, I give Darrell Bevell a lot of credit. I mean, that's a tough position to be in, and look, I understand the desire to want to be a head coach, and so you never pass the opportunity up to be an interim head coach. But wow, what a lot to deal with, because you're taking over a situation that's just had a tremendous amount of drama, and so you got to try to get the ship back righted a little bit and talk to the players and talk to the staff and calm the organization down from the drama that just hit the front pages of the newspaper and sports talk and everything else.
That still are. But
and oh, by the way, you've got to execute your normal job, which is extremely hard as an offensive coordinator, but you have to deal with all of that and the duties of being a head coach and all the the drama on top of the drama. I mean, I give him credit. Darrell has handled everything so far impeccably. I give him a lot of credit, and because that's not an easy position to be thrust into. And I'm sure that the experience in Detroit last year has helped, but still, I don't think you're ever fully prepared for something like this.
Because let's be real, if you're an interim head coach, it's not a great situation you're inheriting most times,
Well, I loved his comment that he had when he was asked about the rotation of the running backs.
Yeah.
And he said, quote, "James Robinson is our starting running back, and he will be played as such." Answer. Right?
Yeah.
No BS. No lies.
There's your answer.
No, well,
BS.
I don't know. Answer.
Yep.
Loved it.
Yep. And he was. I mean, he got 18 snaps. That tied his season high in the game. And, he had a touchdown, all that stuff going on. So, yes, there's all that. We have plenty of time to break down the offense. We'll come back and do that.
And then we have
Yes.
We have Darrell Bevell coming up.
We do. The Jaguars Coaches Show takes the place of the Urban Meyer Show. That's at 5 o'clock on the Jaguars Radio Network. We'll have a half hour with interim head coach Darrell Bevell to break down all the changes that have happened, what changes could be ahead in the week coming up, and a review of last week and looking ahead to the New York Jets, where there are plenty of connections between the teams. Of course, PRI Productions, the official event production company of the Jags, has everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by Dreamfinders Homes, homes that fit your lifestyle. And by Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Hi folks, Frank Frangie here to tell you where to find the most authentic Southern Pit barbecue in all of Jacksonville. That's right, Bono's. For 72 years, Bono's has been smoking real pit barbecue right here on the First Coast. Smoked for hours, served in minutes, and always cut to order. You can find Bono's locations all around town, and on game day at TIAA Bank Field. Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you want great barbecue, head to Bono's today. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
So, it's happy hour. Let's talk whiskey options. Have you tried Citrus Distillers? Have you tried Citrus Distillers Limited Edition 2021 Barrel-Aged Jaguar Whiskey? Did you know it's only available for a limited time and manufactured in Jacksonville? Yes, Jacksonville. I said local whiskey. Try it on the rocks or in a Jack's Whiskey Sour. Citrus Distillers Jaguars Whiskey is available at local liquor stores, restaurants, and the Jaguar Stadium. Drink local, Jacksonville. Find recipes and events at jaguarswhiskey.com.
Great teams leave it all on the field. But with the powerful towing and payload that Ford F-150 delivers, you can take it all with you, too. No wonder Ford F-Series is America's best-selling truck 44 years straight. The 2021 Ford F-150, built for greatness. Visit your local Ford dealer or buyfordnow.com. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Jacksonville Sports Talk for Jacksonville sports fans. 1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The NFL season is hard enough just being a rookie and playing the position that he gets to play. You know, there's a lot of responsibility on his shoulders, and you know, anytime you add any more distractions or outside interference into that, I think it adds to that. I like the way he's handled it. I think he's been a true professional about it. He continues to work and has been about his business each and every day. So I'm kind of really proud of what he's done in these last over this time that he's been here.
That's interim head coach Darrell Bevell, and welcome back to Jaguars Happy Hour. That was yesterday, discussing the quarterback, of course, Trevor Lawrence, J.P. Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. More from Darrell Bevell coming up at 5 o'clock on the Jaguars Coaches Show, in the place of what was the Urban Meyer Show. Of course, Urban Meyer out, Darrell Bevell in as the interim, and plenty more ahead with Bevell. Second straight year he's been an interim head coach. He won his debut last year, though, in Detroit. The Lions had to rally in that game with 2 late touchdowns to win against the Bears. They didn't win the rest of the time. Bevell trying to get back on track this week against the New York Jets and get this offense going again. And let's stay with Trevor Lawrence here. He's only thrown 1 touchdown pass over the last 7 games. And, yes, there's been a lot going on around him. But, yes, that's not the number you want to see, no matter what's going on around the quarterback.
Well, and when in the beginning of the game against Houston on Sunday, you felt pretty good after the first couple drives because they were able to do some good things. You put together in the first drive of the game, you had 9 plays and 79 yards. You got a field goal out of it. And then the second drive, you respond to the Texans' 98-yard kick return, and you end up scoring on a James Robinson 1-yard touchdown run after wrapping up a 75-play drive. And so you're like, yeah, okay, first 2 drives, you put up 154 yards of offense. Oh, yeah, here we go, Could be an all-time high-scoring game for this Jaguars football team and Texans, right? 2 lowest-scoring teams in the National Football League meeting. And then on the subsequent 9 drives that the Jaguars had, they only had 142 yards of offense.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, so it became a struggle, and you had drops, you had some inaccuracies with the quarterback, you had the one takeaway by Tyson Campbell, and you sudden change opportunity for the offense.
Sure.
And I think they got it at the plus 17-yard line.
They were the 22.
22?
Yeah.
Okay, they got to the 17. Is that right? So they got 5 yards out of that drive?
That was it.
Or no, it was the plus 17. They started on the plus 17. And they didn't get but 5 yards on the drive. You're like, wow. I mean, how can you not put that one in? I mean, that's a great opportunity there. And it just goes to show you that the offense is still struggling mightily. And you can change the coach, but the reality is it's not going to be a switch that's flipped, that all of a sudden the offense turns into Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and, we're scoring a lot of points. It's still a work in progress. And I will say that they still have to play better everywhere. It's the quarterback. It's Andrew Norwell has to play better. Mm-hmm. Jawan Taylor has to play better.
Yeah, we'll get into those guys in a moment.
It's everybody, JP. I mean, sure. the wide receivers with the drops. I mean, it's just so many components have to be better.
Let's hear from the quarterback, though, Trevor Lawrence, on the frustration that surrounds this season and the last couple weeks.
Definitely frustrating. All the guys are frustrated. We want to be more consistent. We want to win. So it's definitely frustrating, but like I said, we're the ones that control that. We got to go make the play. I got to make those throws. The other plays, guys got to make catches. We all have our part, and there's no way around that. Like we all have to play better. So, and that's the thing. You just got to look yourself in the mirror and figure out how to get better. And I think we'll do that, but we've got to really do that this week.
To your point, Logs, yes, it's not just number 16. Guys have to catch the ball. 16 has to throw it on target when they are open. There were a couple instances of that this week. Offensive line, the last couple weeks has been under the microscope a little bit, and it is a full team offensive issue.
I wouldn't say the offensive line's been under the microscope. I'd say that they haven't played well.
Being nice, yes.
I'll
let you say that.
You're being very nice, JP. They played not anywhere near good enough, and was it as bad as in Tennessee? No, but it wasn't good enough. And it was against a Texans team that really not that great. And I was
guys out. They had a bunch of guys out.
JP,
COVID.
they had 5 starters missing on defense. 5. Okay, Terrence Mitchell, corner. Camus Grugier-Hill, linebacker. Christian Kirksey, really good linebacker.
Yeah, good player.
Okay, Jonathan Grenard, defensive tackle. Good player. And then Justin, those were the 4 COVID scratches. And they were missing DeMarcus Walker, who is a good football player and was a rotational backup defensive lineman. And they were missing Justin Reed because of a concussion. So they would normally play A.J. Moore, but he was out because of COVID. So now you're like on a third-team safety.
Right. And not to mention Zach Cunningham's playing for the Titans now. He was there, leading tackler in the league last year. Merciless is gone. That was earlier in the year. I mean, they've
correct
all that on top of those guys being gone. This is what happened.
I will say that Malik Collins, okay, remember that name. Malik Collins, who wears number 97. I don't know much about him as far as where he came from and where he played at in previous years. But he's in his 6th year from Nebraska. He's a really good football player. And from watching the film leading up to it, and then watching him play in person, and then watching the film review of him, darn good football player. I mean, darn good football player for the Houston Texans at defensive tackle. And he's a guy that I don't know where he came from, but he's a really good football player.
Well, here's where he came from. 3rd-round pick of the Cowboys in 2016. Played there 4 years, was with the Raiders in 2020, and now with the Texans.
Well, I'd be like, have you ever heard of him?
No.
That's the thing. He's one of those guys that now all of a sudden I
didn't watch much Nebraska football either, but even in the Cowboys, I mean, he's interior lineman, right? I mean,
well, he's
to stand out.
Like I said, I don't know where he's been at and what has spurred on his development lately, but I can tell you he's a good football player, and he's going to be a good football player for the Texans in the years to come, the way he's been shown it. But it's just disappointing because you have a great opportunity, because the Texans were the worst team in the league at stopping the run. They were the 3rd worst team in the National Football League at points allowed, and you really weren't able to score but 16 points against the Texans defense that had all those guys out and all those problems before having, not having the services of all those people. That we kind of talked before the game about what we think is going to happen, and we were all kind of thinking, okay, win, and we were also thinking that the Jaguars might score some more points because of all the issues that they had.
Like we just talked about.
Yeah, and it just didn't happen, and that was the disappointing part. But they just got to keep working, and that's a hard thing to do when you what are we in now? Coming up to week 16? That's a hard thing to do in week 16 when you're out of the playoffs, your coach has been fired, and you'd like to be able to get to the offseason healthy but also play some good football. I mean, it's a weird situation to be in. And I hate to say this, but I was in it way too many times. And it's not fun. And everybody always says, well, they're professionals. They get paid. They should show up. Sure.
Yeah, they're humans too, though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's been a long, tough year with a lot of drama and a lot of losing, and it's not easy. And so the human element comes in. So, yeah, and the ones that do play hard and do play well at this point in the season, I have that much more respect for them because it's not easy to do.
They're changing play callers this week. Darrell Bevell's given up the helm there, at least on the offense, and letting Brian Schottenheimer dial it up. Of course, they both have coordinator experience calling plays in the NFL. Bevell's taking a step back here, and Schottenheimer is going to jump in there. The same idea might apply here, though, right? I mean, it's personnel. You might do a few things differently, but how difficult is this going to be for Schottenheimer down the stretch?
I don't think it's difficult at all.
No,
I mean, this is the offense, I'm sure, is a little bit not exactly what he would have had in, just because it's you got the confluence of Darrell Bevell and Shoddy, and then also Urban Meyer and other components, other coaches have an influence. So, yeah, it's a little different, but Brian's hands have been on this offense for a long period of time. He's the quarterback's coach. He's got a great relationship with the quarterback. So it's a natural to allow Darrell Bevell to work on the head coaching duties, because the head coaching duties that's a lot. I mean, if you think about it, from handling the football team during the course of the week with the COVID thing that's going on now, with all the situation with here where you're replacing a head coach and you're trying to get things maybe a little bit more to your liking and the way you're running things. And then you also have to have and handle game day operations. I mean,
right, just complimentary
head
football
coaching
things.
You got to come and talk to us on the coaches show, the Jaguars coaches show. I mean, it's a lot more things that a head coach has to handle, which is one of the reasons why I have great respect for the coaches that can do both. And I think it's a special ability for a coach to do both, to be able to handle being a coordinator and being a head coach, because that's a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't happen a lot of places. I mean, some places, New Orleans, he does it.
Yeah, Sean
right?
Payton, Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, there's some.
Those guys that come to mind. Mike Zimmer is still essentially de facto defensive coordinator somewhat in Minnesota. Frank Reich is an offensive coordinator pretty much still in Indianapolis and play caller. So, I mean,
but to balance that and, the field position game or what the defense is doing and specialty, everything all in one. That's a lot to handle.
It's a lot on the plate. And I can tell you this, I couldn't do it. I mean, there's no way. I mean, I'm kind of one of these guys that puts the blinders on. And I mean, and for the people that have the ability to manage all of these different moving parts all at once, I think it's a very special ability, and I got a lot of respect for them.
I'm giving you more credit than that, Logs. I think you could probably handle that.
No, I could not handle that.
Come on, man.
No.
You're a tremendous slouch. Come on.
Slouch, yes. Exactly.
We're back in a moment.
Exactly.
We'll go to the New York Jets. The Jaguars get the Jets this Sunday at Metlife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey in Week 16. Some familiar faces on the other side this week. Coming up at 5 o'clock, the Jaguars Coaches Show. Interim head coach Darrell Bevell will join us. We'll get his thoughts about the week that was and the week ahead. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by TIAA Bank. Turn potential into progress. And by Publix. where shopping is a pleasure.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Hey Jaguars fans, it's always game on with Dunkin's $2 medium hot or iced coffee Tuesdays for rewards members. The NFL season is more than just what happens on game day. That's why Dunkin' wants to get you through the game week too. During football season, the best call is always Dunkin'. Whether it's the morning after a late night game or getting hyped for the week to come, pick up a cup of your favorite coffee and tackle the day with Dunkin'. Join today and order ahead of the Dunkin' app. Jacksonville Jaguars run on Dunkin'. Exclusions apply. Participation may vary. Limit 1 per week.
Headquartered right here in Jacksonville, CSI Companies is one of the fastest growing workforce solutions companies in the nation. As a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI has the resources necessary to scale with any enterprise, yet they are small enough to maintain the agility, personal service, and remarkable experience they've become known for over the past 3 decades. This is your workforce and your business reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com to learn more.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
So, it's happy hour. Let's talk whiskey options. Have you tried Citrus Distillers? Have you tried Citrus Distillers Limited Edition 2021 Barrel-Aged Jaguar Whiskey? Did you know it's only available for a limited time and manufactured in Jacksonville? Yes, Jacksonville. I said local whiskey. Try it on the rocks or in a Jack's Whiskey Sour. Citrus Distillers Jaguars Whiskey is available at local liquor stores, restaurants, and the Jaguar Stadium. Drink local, Jacksonville. Find recipes and events at jaguarswhiskey.com.
Alert Today Florida reminds you that pedestrians are the most vulnerable of all road users. Everyone walks, whether you walk to work or school, or you walk for health benefits. Here are some safety tips that everyone should know. It's safest to walk on a sidewalk, but if there isn't one, walk facing traffic, on the shoulder, as far away from traffic as possible. Always cross at an intersection or in a crosswalk, and for your safety, obey the pedestrian signal. To increase your visibility when walking at night, carry a flashlight and wear light-colored or reflective clothing. And drivers, always be on the lookout for pedestrians, especially at night, because safety doesn't happen by accident.
The station that the Jaguars listen to, 1010XL. Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on a Tuesday afternoon. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman coming up at 5 o'clock. It's the Jaguars Coaches Show that takes the place of the Urban Myers Show, and we'll hear from interim head coach Darrell Bevell. Get his thoughts on what has happened this past week and the next 3 weeks ahead. And Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by ViStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. The Jaguars and the Jets. Well, the Jets aren't that good. They've lost a couple games in a row now. They've lost, 11 on the season, in fact. And, they've got some familiar faces over there, though. You start off with the head coach, Robert Saleh, of course. In his first year as the head coach, the former Jaguars linebackers coach. He then went to San Francisco, was the defensive coordinator on some good teams there. I had an opportunity to interview, I think, with Cleveland a couple years back. That didn't work out. But now in New York with the Jets, with a young quarterback on the offensive side, it's the beginning at least, and it sounds like they love him in New York.
Yeah, look, Robert's a real smart guy. I remember when Gus Bradley hired him, and Gus had a lot of respect for him and previously worked with him in Seattle, so he had a little bit of experience. I think he worked with him in Seattle, had previous experience. Right. And I remember kind of talking with Gus about that, and I'm trying to remember who he was replacing was it Mark Duffner a long time
That
ago?
might have been it. Yeah, because Duffner was here.
Which Duffner had been with like one of the longest tenured Jaguars coaches ever, who is now with Cincinnati and is one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet. And he's now like a senior defensive assistant with the Cincinnati Bengals. So anyway, Robert got hired on board, and I always liked the way he went about his business. He was kind of quiet, and he was focused, and he coached Paul Posluszny and Telvin Smith to some of the best years that they ever had, I thought.
Yeah, that's right.
And so kind of crazy that you look at that staff and you look at the number of familiar faces, not just Robert, but you look at on the defensive side of the ball. And Aaron Whitecotton was here in Jacksonville.
Right.
He's the defensive line coach. Mike Rutenberg, Rudy, we called him, is the linebackers coach there. Hayes Pollard. You remember Hayes Pollard, the linebacker?
Yes.
That played here?
How about that?
He is an assistant defensive coach with the New York Jets. Okay. And then you have Brant Boyer, who was one of the greatest Jaguar special teams players of all time, he's their special teams coordinator. Leon Washington, by the way, okay, local guy, assistant special teams coach. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Ron Middleton.
Nice.
Who was a longtime tight ends coach here in Jacksonville.
So Auburn, a long time in the league as a tight end, yes.
A lot of familiar faces. So with COVID, obviously, as broadcasters, and we're not allowed on the field anymore, but it would have been nice to say hi to some of those guys because I got a lot of respect for a lot of those guys.
A lot of classy individuals for sure.
Yeah, all good people. Robert's a good person, and he really hired some good people.
So this Jets offense, it starts with Zach Wilson, rookie quarterback, of course, second overall pick in the draft. That will be the storyline this week, at least outside of here.
Maybe.
Trevor versus Zach, right?
It's the rookie row thing, kind of, right? You had last week with the Houston Texans third-round pick Davis Mills from Stanford, which wasn't really you didn't think about that when the schedule came out, that it would be a rookie matchup there. But he was named the starter, and if you look at that matchup, and of course comparisons are always going to be drawn in each game. How did Trevor Lawrence stack up against Davis Mills, or vice versa? How does Davis Mills stack up against Trevor Lawrence?
Well, Davis Mills stacked up.
Same thing is going to happen this week, okay, with the second overall pick quarterback in New York, who, by the way, is struggling. And if you look at the numbers, okay, I got some for you, JP.
Oh, I know you like numbers. Yeah.
I got some for you. Okay, Zach, well, he missed a couple games now. He had a knee injury, so
like an MCL.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the number of attempts because that's kind of inconsequential with the games that he's missed. But completion percentage, he's at 56.2. That's 32nd in the National Football League. Trevor Lawrence is at 58.1. That's 30th in the National Football League. Yards per attempt, Zach Wilson's at 6.2. That is 30th. Trevor is 31st at 5.8. Passer rating, Trevor Lawrence is at 30th in the National Football League, 69.3. Zach Wilson is a 66.3. The one area that, from watching the film of Zach Wilson, that the Jaguars are going to have to be aware of in a big way is the running ability or the extending the playability of Zach Wilson. When you turn on the film, especially this past game, I've watched the Miami Dolphins game, soon to be watching some more, but in the Miami Dolphins game, the Miami team does a good job of playing man, and they can bring pressure. Zach Wilson keeps plays alive just because he makes guys miss that get free runs at him.
He can run around.
He can run around, and if you don't cover for a while or you don't bring him down, he can hurt you. So he's a little bit like, I guess you could say, defending Russell Wilson. Because Russell Wilson has that ability to run around.
He's best when he does that, actually.
Absolutely.
Wilson is.
So if people are wondering, okay, what kind of a player is he, I'd say compare him to Russell Wilson. I mean, obviously he's not that level.
Yeah.
But a young guy trying to figure it out that can create when he wants to.
Keelan Cole's on this team. He hasn't had
By
much
the way,
of an impact.
You see the number he's wearing?
What?
88.
How about that?
Who wore 88? With the Jets to see if JP's kind of a young man. Joe knows exactly who I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, a lot of people have probably worn 88 for the Jets over the years.
Who?
Did Coles wear it? Lavernius Coles?
No.
No.
No, one of the great Jets of all time.
I don't know. How many Jets are there that are great all time? I don't know.
I'll give you his initials, A.T.
I don't know.
Altoon.
I would never have got that.
Altoon, great player, was a teammate of mine and a Pro Bowl caliber player, and one of the great receivers in the National Football League in the late 80s, early 90s, and then ended up getting some concussion issues and left the game, and a lot of respect for Altoon, super guy.
By the way, I was close. Lavernius Coles wore 87.
Yes.
I was one number off.
Yeah, but that's not even.
I'm just saying. I knew I was close.
You could say, well, he wore 78. I was one number off. Would that be considered 10 off?
In the lottery, too. Defensively, another familiar face. Quincy Williams is turned into a fantastic tackler for the Jets, second on the team behind C.J. Mosley in total tackles this year.
Sure. Sometimes he still doesn't know where he's going.
But he's going there fast.
He is going there fast. He is, and playing with his brother, Quinnen Williams, who was the Jets' first draft pick a couple years ago, and talented defensive tackle. Quinnen Williams is a beast now. The one good thing about Quinnen Williams, he's got a shoulder issue right now, and that's slowing him up a little bit. But, I mean, this is a legitimate top caliber player. I'm talking one of the top pass rushing, run defending defensive tackles that there is. You know him well, JP. He's an Alabama guy. And he's a stud, and he will be somebody that will be tough to block. There's no doubt about that. And Quincy Williams, who you're talking about, who was a Jaguar draft pick from the football powerhouse of Murray State.
Big time.
Was a third-round pick by the Jaguars, and great striker. I mean, great striking ability. Could fly. And when he hit people, he had a unique ability to just explode on contact and be an extremely big-time hitter, very forceful. His problem in Jacksonville was that sometimes he just didn't know where to run to. And that was always an issue with some of the coaches and his time here. And if anybody could get him running in the right direction, you just knew that he was going to be a really good football player because he's, in today's game, it's a game of speed and a space. And with his speed and agility, Quincy Williams has those physical attributes, and he just needed to get into a place where the comfort level from a mental standpoint to where he felt comfortable and knew where he was supposed to be, and then he could thrive. And he's playing better there, but he's still not mistake-free.
They've got C.J. Mosley at linebacker also,
Stud.
former first-round pick, four-time Pro Bowler with the Ravens, and now with New York.
He opted out last year, which, he probably had a little rust at the beginning of the year, but
he's
good
like
football
seventh
player.
in the league in tackles this year. Like he's up there.
Yeah, good
high.
football player.
So that's a tough challenge this week. So
they're real young, real quick. They're real young in the back end, and they had a pretty significant injury this past week. In the Miami game, one of their safeties, Elijah Riley, ended up being carted off on a spine board, and it was precautionary. And he ended up having a concussion, which he's in the concussion protocol, so he could be out. And he was a young player anyway. And then Ashton Davis, who had an interception against the Miami Dolphins, is a second-year player at the other safety position. You got a UVA guy at one corner, Bryce Hall in his second year. And then you got a rookie at the other, and Brandon Eccles, who also had an interception last week. And then you got I think a fifth-round pick rookie from Duke playing at the nickel spot. So, I mean, you want to talk about a really, really young secondary in New York. I mean, that's what you're going to be facing. So there's some opportunities for an offense that has a young passer because they are young in their defensive back end.
And, early reports, the Jets might have won the Jamal Adams trade, right? I mean, Adams is banged up right now. He's out.
Well, they got Seattle's 2022 first-round draft pick, and didn't they get another one out of it?
They got like two
first-round picks out of it.
So they might have two top 10 picks.
Who did they use? What were the other picks that they had? Do you remember exactly who the other pick was, and did they already use it already, and who was it on? I'd love to know that.
We'll do a little research. Research department, crack research staff will have to get on that.
We'll take
during
a commercial
the
break.
We'll come back.
Google it.
We'll get no. Our crack research staff will get on it. We'll discuss Tuesday Night Football.
Yeah, we'll Google it.
Yeah, maybe we'll Google it. And then, of course, the Baptist Health injury report. Some changes to that today for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A couple of players placed on the reserved injured list. And, of course, at 5 o'clock, it's the Jaguars Coaches Show in place of the Urban Meyer Show from here on out. Interim head coach Darrell Bevell will join us at 5 o'clock today. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Great teams leave it all on the field. But with the powerful towing and payload that Ford F-150 delivers, you can take it all with you, too. No wonder Ford F-Series is America's best-selling truck 44 years straight. The 2021 Ford F-150, built for greatness. Visit your local Ford dealer or buyfordnow.com. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
Roof Claim is a proud supporter of professional football and the Jacksonville Jaguars. They built their company on an idea that homeowners deserve to be winners. When a home is damaged by severe weather, Roof Claim can identify the damage, work with your insurance company, and help you professionally replace your roof. At Roof Claim, they make protection simple. Visit their website at roofclaim.com to schedule your free drone or in-person inspection.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony, Jaguars Today. All Jaguars, all NFL, all the time. 10 to noon weekdays on 1010XL.
Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. If you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150. Loaded with impressive capability and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between, this truck makes tough look easy. No wonder it's the official truck of the NFL and proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. Our crack research staff has been at it for the last 2 minutes straight, trying to figure out if the Jets are indeed winning the Jamal Adams trade from late summer of 2020. What do you think, Logs? They got a guard out of it.
Well, Elijah Vera Tucker, who actually was a tackle at Southern Cal and a really good football player, and I thought he had the ability to play tackle at the NFL level. A lot of other scouts and experts that probably know a hell of a lot more than me said they felt that he was a guard, and that's where he's playing at with the Jets, and he's doing a pretty solid job. So, they still got another first-round pick coming to them this year in 2022, which will be very high because Seattle's not very good right now. And Jamal Adams has not had a great year this year. And he makes a lot of money. And that's, I mean, if you're going to grade it, you have to factor that in, because the more money you pay, the less of a bargain that you would say, or advantage Seattle.
Sure.
So I don't know. I mean, you got to wait and see what the Jets do with that. I mean, it's just like the Jalen Ramsey trade. You sit there and you evaluate that.
You can't do that until years down the road.
And you sit there and you go, okay, well, what did the Jaguars get for Jalen Ramsey? Okay, what have they gotten so far?
They got the running back, and they got Caleb Chase on.
Okay, and right now neither one of those picks have been a great contributor to this football team yet. And so and Jalen's been Pro Bowl caliber player still for the Rams. So
pro.
You're not winning that trade right now. So in other words, you have to draft well to win those trades, and so far the Jaguars haven't to win that trade. And the jury will still be out with the Jets on their situation.
Veterans, choose VA for the benefits you've earned. Visit choose.va.gov. And let's take a look at the Baptist Health Injury Report. Baptist Health, changing health care for good. And a couple of names added to the reserve injured list today. Carlos Hyde, still in concussion protocol. He's added to the list, and he's done for the year. Rayshawn Jenkins, the safety, with a fracture, he's out and on reserve injured list for the remainder of the season as well. Darrell Bevell on Monday updated Cam Robinson's status, a neck strain. They'll see how the week goes with that. Will Richardson Jr., Bevell said going into the game, had a back strain, and they tried to work through it, didn't play. They'll see how that goes this week as well. But there you have it, the injury list piling up at the end of the season now. Carlos Hyde done for the year. Rayshawn Jenkins done for the year. That unfortunate play, obviously, on the kickoff return for a touchdown, and had to be carted off the field. Let's take a look at the AFC South, and as you would imagine, the standings are still the same order, but it's getting tight at the top. The Tennessee Titans are 9-5 now. The Indianapolis Colts are closing ground quickly, 8-6. Houston 3-11. Jacksonville 2-12. Of course, what do you think?
Well, if you look at where each team there that we're talking about at the top there, Tennessee and Indianapolis in the division, where they're trending. Mm-hmm. Indianapolis has, if you look at JP, if you can pull up their last 4 or 5 games, they've played really well. They have a legitimate MVP candidate in Jonathan Taylor, their running back, who had a fantastic game this past Thursday night against the New England Patriots and essentially dominated that game from the beginning. And if you go back to the Jaguars game in Indianapolis, we were shocked to see how little they were running Jonathan Taylor in that game with the early success that he had. Mm-hmm. They almost got away from him completely, which give the Jaguars credit. They bounced back, did a good job, but Frank Reich did not stay committed to Jonathan Taylor. And this past week, they tried to put it in the hands of Carson Wentz a little bit on Thursday night, and he screwed it up. And so then they went back with Jonathan Taylor and started handed him the ball, and which was a smart thing to do, and he rewarded him.
Indy's won 5 of the last 6, by the way.
Okay, now Tennessee, out of their last 6 games, I think they've lost 4 or 5 now.
The gap is closed, yes. They have not played so well as of late. The Titans have dropped 3 of the last 4, in fact, after putting together 6 consecutive wins.
Right. That's what it is.
There you go. And then their schedule coming up, Tennessee has San Fran in Nashville, Miami in Nashville, and then at Houston to close it out.
Well, right now, Tennessee has a problem in that they don't have Derrick Henry, which was a problem to begin with, but their quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, cannot and has not picked up the slack. And he's had opportunities to play well. I mean, I'm talking about he's had plenty of opportunity. This past game, the opportunity that was given to him, he failed. In the Jaguars game, he almost messed up a couple times. So he has missed some big-time things, and they gave him a pretty big contract thinking that everything was going to be hunky-dory at that quarterback position with Ryan Tannehill. And he's not the answer. He's not a franchise guy, and the longer that Tennessee sticks with him, the better the Jaguars will be in as far as the division things go.
Tuesday Night Football. Wait a minute. That's the wrong day, Joe. It's the wrong day. Thank you. That's Monday night. Today is Tuesday, and of course there are two games tonight. The Seattle Seahawks visit the LA Rams, or what's available for the Rams. Seahawks 5-8, of course the Rams 9-4. That's at 7 o'clock. Another 7 o'clock Eastern time kick at the same time. Washington, what's left of the football team, heads up to Philadelphia. A battle of 6 and 7 teams in the NFC East tonight. Who you like, Logs? And there's no quarterback in Washington. They're like the third backup.
The 13 guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's crazy. I mean, it's. I think, first of all, I think Philadelphia is going to win with all the issues that Washington has had. But I will tell you this, Ron Rivera is a good football coach. If anybody can get a team put together with a bunch of guys that weren't playing, it would be a Ron Rivera. And the Rams are good now. I mean, I think Sean McVay is an excellent coach, but they've got how many guys out now with COVID?
A bunch of guys. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I haven't seen the list of who is playing and who is not playing, so I'd have to take a look at that a little bit closer.
Garrett Gilbert's going to start tonight for Washington at quarterback because Heineke and Kyle Allen didn't clear the COVID protocols, and apparently they had a private jet ready at Dulles Airport today. If the test came back negative from the facility, they'd go right over it because it's close to the facility. Go down, get on the private jet, fly up today, and play in the game. Neither one of them passed, though. So, Garrett Gilbert. I think he went to Texas, Garrett Gilbert.
Yeah, I think that'll be an interesting game. How do you watch that? Is that on broadcast television tonight? I mean, can we here in Jacksonville? I think we're going to – because it's on Fox, and I think we're slated to get the Philadelphia-Washington game, if I'm correct, here in Jacksonville. But you don't get to see both. I know that it's going to be broadcast in the local markets, and then in every location gets one game, and we're going to get the Philly Redskins game,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
I can't say the Redskins, right? It's the Washington football team.
We know who you're talking about.
Yeah, let me go ahead and call them the Phoenix Cardinals, the other team in that division.
Guessing.
Holy
What
cow.
if you have
By the
Sunday
way,
ticket?
How many times have we heard that in the last month, 2 months, 3 months? I don't know.
Hey, you can if you have Sunday ticket. From the way I understand it, you'll be able to watch both. You can. Watch
I don't
either
have
one.
Sunday ticket, so can I?
Because I'm
watch
always
either one?
here on Sunday. No, you can only watch the one designated. If you have Sunday ticket, you can watch.
But I can watch one game tonight.
Yes,
that's cool. I'm good with that. I'll watch one game, and then hopefully they show the highlights of the other game. Can't watch two games at once anyway, right? Are they all the same time?
You can if you have multiple TVs. Think about that.
I don't have multiple TVs. I have one TV. So can I watch? Are they both at the same exact time?
Same exact 7 o'clock kick.
Okay.
Yeah. Jags Jets Jeff Lageman Bowl. What does the winner of the Jeff Lageman Bowl get?
Nothing.
A deer head?
Nothing.
Stuffed turkey?
Nothing.
A W. That's what they get.
Well, I will tell you this: draft positioning and draft order is going to be a big thing here now.
It'll be a topic.
Okay, the Jets at 3-11. If the Jaguars win, they go to 3-11.
Then it's strength of schedule.
3-12.
Yeah.
And so strength of schedule becomes a factor. Does Detroit go back to being at the top of the draft order?
They just beat the hell out of Arizona.
Houston, where's
Crazy.
Houston at now?
Houston's a game behind the Jags.
Yeah, so I mean, it could. Who knows? I mean, it's going to make everything pretty close there when it comes to, and that's the worst thing about it. I mean, here we are talking about draft positioning.
Not even Christmas yet. What do you want to hear from Darrell Bevell coming up, interim head coach here on the Jaguars Coaches Show?
I want to hear a coach that's aware of his football team, and everything that I've heard so far from Darrell Bevell I've liked, and I want to talk to him about the structure of how things are going to be going forward, what kind of changes that he's instituted. What kind of influences he's had in his life as a coach. I mean, there's a lot of questions I want to ask him.
Because it's a big opportunity for him. I mean, it may not have been as planned in his career, but he is coaching an NFL team for the second year in a row.
One of 32 jobs, even if it's on the interim label, so be it. It's a tremendous honor to be asked to do something like that, especially and so far from what I've seen, he's been a great stabilizing, calming influence with his football team, and that's a real positive after some of the drama that this team has been through.
Up next, the Jaguars Coaches Show featuring interim head coach Darrell Bevell. That's on the Jaguars Radio Network. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Welcome to the Jaguars Coaches Show, brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. Former Jaguar Jeff Lageman and JP Shadrick discuss the latest Jaguars news with the head coach. The Jaguars Coaches Show starts right now.
And welcome into the Jaguars Coaches Show. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, and interim head coach Darrell Bevell joining us as the Jaguars are preparing to head to New York to face the Jets in Week 16. First off, welcome to the show, Darrell. It's good to have you, man.
Yeah, good to be here. First time, so let's see how we do here.
No doubt. It's going to be great, of course. A wild week. Let's start with that before we move forward here. Last week, you found out in the wee hours of the morning the official word came down that Urban was gone, and you were the interim head coach. So you wake up Thursday morning. Oh, wait a minute. I'm running this thing now. How were the last 2, 3, 4 days preparation going into that game last week?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind, because you're still I'm still focusing on the offensive part of the game as well as taking on the new role. But as I said earlier, Coach Urban had done a great job hiring the staff. So there's a lot of guys that were able to help out and pick up in those roles that they needed to. And once you kind of got through a little bit of the chaos and the change, I thought the week went well.
Yeah, Darrell, the support of the staff is a must when you have a transition like you dealt with last week, and you talked about how everybody kind of jumped in and helped out. That had to be a big help to you.
Yeah, without question. Our defense has been doing a nice job. Joe Cullen has really led the way with those guys. But you got Charlie Strong, you got Chris Ash, guys that have had head coaching experience, and then on the offensive side of the ball, great coaches in their own right over there with Brian Schottenheimer and George Warhop and a lot of guys that were just really able to take up their roles and really allow me to do a little bit of different things. But still had to work on the offensive side because I was going to call the game because it was a little bit later in the week. I didn't think it was fair to put it on anybody. So, I thought everybody did a really nice job and really helped me out.
Having the experience of being the interim head coach last year with the Detroit Lions had to help you a tremendous amount, and I'm sure you learned from that. Having said that, what was the first thing you felt was important to do once you were named the interim head coach?
Well, I thought it was really important just to talk to the team, to be able to get in front of them. I'm up in front of the offense basically every day, but to be in front of the whole team as a group, I thought that was really important. So, the day we found out, Trent started off with the meeting, and then I was able to address them for the first time, and just be able to give them, some of my thoughts and the mindset that I would like them to go to work with, and I thought it went well as well.
Interim head coach Darrell Bevell with us on the Jaguars Coaches Show. Have you made any changes, adjustments to the weekly schedule now going into the second week as the interim here? Practice schedule, anything like that?
Yeah, there's it's going to be just small nuanced things. There's not going to be big wholesale changes. As you guys know, we're all the creatures of habit, and there's routines for all these guys. So I don't want to change it too much, but there'll be subtle little things that we do. Just when we call it up, when we don't call it up, how we transition, number of reps, those type of things that will change during practice.
Darrell, one of the great challenges, I think, of a head coach is managing a roster, and Trent Baalke, the general manager that's in place, and how much has that helped working with him throughout this process to have a guy that has had experience and has been at the post all along?
Yeah, Jeff, as you mentioned, I was very fortunate or unfortunate, however you want to see it. That last year I had this experience. So it was my first opportunity to really dive into the roster and all the things that go into that with the inactives and, everything as a whole. So at least I had the experience. But then this season to be able to add, Trent Baalke on top of that, a guy that has, immense experience and, be able to lean on him, has been invaluable for me as well.
All right, so ballpark after Wednesday night sleep, how many hours of sleep do you reckon you got before kickoff?
Yeah, not a lot. It was because there's just one that's added responsibility, right? There's a lot for that, but then two, there's all those changes, and then just the stuff that weighs on your mind with those changes. Whether it's like, okay, I gotta talk to the team. What am I going to tell these guys, and how am I going to handle this situation? So there's a lot more going through your mind. So the normal amount of sleep was that the little that we get was even a little bit less.
Darrell Bevell with us. Going back to when you're coming up as a young football player and going to college and then finally get into the coaching ranks. I mean, this is an opportunity. It may not be what you had planned it to be, but it is still an opportunity to be a head coach in the National Football League. Take us back. To what point did you realize, you know what, this is what I want to do as a profession, be a head coach in the NFL?
Well, my dad's a high school coach, and so I grew up with. I think that's a little bit in my blood. But I'll tell you to this day, if they would give me a helmet right now and let me go play, I would definitely go play. I probably can't do it anymore. Maybe I got one hit left in me, but I would do that first. But I love this game, and I always knew that I wanted to be able to stay around it. And so once I did get done playing, to be able to step into the role and really start diving into the coaching. But I think really when it hit me and I got the bug was I was in Green Bay, young QC coach, and the Tom Mosley gave me an opportunity to give him some suggestions for plays, and particularly for third down. And I'll tell you what, the first time that he takes your play, put it in the game plan, and then it gets called in the game, and you see it work. I mean, it was like lights went on everywhere, and it was like, oh man, this is the coolest thing. That was just forever something I wanted to do.
What year was that in Green Bay, where you were a quality control coach? Because you use the term QC. A lot of people may not know what that means. Right. What year was that at Green Bay?
Yeah, so it was 2000. I was there 2000 to 2005, but the first three seasons I think I was a QC guy. And then quarterback coach after that for 3.
That was back when you were making big money as a QC, right?
Yeah, not so much. Not so much.
That's how that works. Now, I did notice that he's always an athlete. He said he probably couldn't go back in for another play.
Give me one. You give me a helmet. I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in. But I could probably only last one hit now.
I love it. Plenty ahead. Darrell, stick around. We'll come back and get into this Jaguars offense. Some changes in the play calling moving ahead. This is the Jaguars Coaches Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa Debit Card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Great teams leave it all on the field. But with the powerful towing and payload that Ford F-150 delivers, you can take it all with you, too. No wonder Ford F-Series is America's best-selling truck 44 years straight. The 2021 Ford F-150, built for greatness. Visit your local Ford dealer or buyfordnow.com. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
It's been around longer than your quarterback. When you put it on, everyone knows it's game time. So legendary, it deserves its own Hall of Fame. Members-only jackets. Undeniable quality and style for over 45 years. Scratch and claw your way over to membersonly.com. Get ready for football season with a jacket that can only be summed up in one word. Iconic. Use discount code Jaguars at checkout for 35% off on all iconic racer jackets. Members only. When you put it on, something happens.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com. The world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com. Officially licensed everything.
Welcome back. The Jaguars Coaches Show continues right now.
Jaguars Game Day broadcasts are presented by ViStar Credit Union. The Jaguars Coaches Show continues. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, and interim head coach Darrell Bevell as the Jaguars face the New York Jets coming up. And big change this week, as we mentioned just a moment ago. You didn't want to make all those changes in the play calling last week on short notice. Now you've made the change. Brian Schottenheimer will dial it up on the offensive side of the football this week. You guys go back a long way. How different will that be for you without the button to push, as you will, on offense?
Be really different. Since I've, I don't even know how many years now it's been, but once I became an offensive coordinator, I've been calling plays ever since. So it'll be the first time, this Sunday will be the first time that I'm not doing that. But, I really thought about it long and hard. And, in last year when I did it with Detroit, I continued to call plays. But this year, with the situation, I just feel it's really important to be able to focus a little bit more on the team with that role, and then also to have a guy like Brian Schottenheimer on the staff who, has done this at a really high level. Broke records over there at Seattle with those guys, and have had really good offenses. So just to be able to rely on him, we've been working hand in hand this whole year anyway. And I'm really confident and comfortable with what he's going to be able to do, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to this thing.
Now, you guys followed each other as coordinators in Seattle. How much connection did you have before here, though? Like actual connection with each other?
Yeah, not a lot. I always mess with him a little bit. I was at UConn. He was at Syracuse, and we were recruiting up in the Northeast, and then down in Florida as well. We ran into each other a couple times, and he had the bigger logo on than I did. So he's going to get the guys a little bit easier than the guy at UConn, but that's where we first met, and our careers kind of mirrored each other a little bit. We both became QC guys, both became quarterback coaches, both became coordinators. But I do think it was really interesting, that I was at Seattle. We did really well there, and then he took it over and he continued that success that we had. So I think that's an interesting dynamic. I don't know how many times that's happened before, then to have two coordinators go together to the next place, but I'm really lucky to have them.
Darrell, I think everywhere you go, you always learn from people that you work with, and you guys both had the opportunity to work for Pete Carroll in Seattle. I learned a tremendous amount from Pete. Pete was my first defensive coach when I made the switch to defensive end his first year in the National Football League, going back to 1990. In your time in Seattle with Pete Carroll, what did you learn from Pete that helps you be a head coach?
Jeff, we might be here a while, if I had to tell you all the things I learned from him. But, what a great experience. First of all, I think the thing that impressed me the most about him was his consistency. He really has a foundation and a philosophy that he believes in, and then he's going to preach that each and every day. That's the first thing. Second thing is he's a glass half full guy. He can turn anything around. I remember I was kind of joking with our guys. We went in a staff meeting one time, and it was one of the first ones that I've been to. And at the end of the staff meeting, I looked at the other guys. I said, I think we just got yelled at, but I couldn't tell because how well he spins it and is so positive with his message. But I think those are just a couple things that really stood out to me with him.
Yeah, he's a guy that always had tremendous energy, who had a basketball
Absolutely.
bouncing around the building all the time, and loved James Brown. And it was just James Brown's energy and the music with it. That was just Pete Carroll. So, I totally agree with you there. You can learn so much from a guy like that.
Yeah, great energy. What is he? I think he's the oldest NFL coach too, and he still brings that energy each and every day in all that he does.
Trevor Lawrence, let's get to the Jaguars quarterback. You've been with him, of course, close up throughout the season. Statistics are what they are. There's a lot of focus on that on the outside looking in. What do you see on the inside from Trevor now? 3 games to go. What else do you want to see from him down the stretch here?
Yeah, I see a lot of development. I think that's the number one thing. Obviously, with a young quarterback coming in the league, we've had a lot of conversations about all the things that they're processing, all the things that they're learning with this new game. I see college and NFL as almost 2 different games that we're playing. So I see him continuing to progress, and he's getting better. There's still things we need to work on. We'll talk about his accuracy. We'll talk about his movement in the pocket, and but just a lot of it. But doing a great job with his command. I think he commands the huddle really well. I think he's doing a good job when we get into tempo. He can get the ball out quick with some of our relief throws. So I still see a lot of growth, and want to continue to see more of these last 3 weeks.
Yeah, he's got so many positives that you see glimpses of throughout the year. At what point in your experience and how long does it take for, I don't want to say the noise because it's not necessarily noise, but for everything to kind of calm down to where it becomes second nature at playing the quarterback position? Because it's always been, of my opinion, it's the hardest position to play in all of professional sports without a doubt.
I would agree with you 100%, Jeff. It is a tough position. There's so much that goes into it, and I mean, just to break it down simply, right, is you got to know everything that you're doing on your offense, and really you got to know everybody's job. Well, once you focus on that, then you go, oh yeah, I got to go focus on now what is the defense doing? What are they presenting to me? And you got to do all that. It's under 40 seconds that you have to be able to process all that information. So I don't know if you can really put a timetable on exactly when the game starts to slow down for these guys. I do believe that it has a little bit to do with what they've been exposed to before they got here. And I do, like I just said earlier, I do believe that the college game and the NFL game are getting further and further apart in a lot of ways. And there's some things that are trickling up to us as well. But it's going to happen when it happens for him. I do feel like I can see the game has slowed down a little bit, but there's still other things that he's still working on to get better at.
Yeah, and everybody's different, and everybody's kind of got their own time horizon. One of the things that impressed me about him is how he's handled everything. And when I mean everything, from off-the-field stuff to the drama to the play, et cetera, and how he's answered the questions. And one thing that stuck in my mind, Darrell, it was the post-game presser at Tennessee, where it was a tough game, obviously, had 4 interceptions. But how he vividly recalls right after the game exactly what happens, but not just what happens, why it happened and how it should have been differently. I'm sitting there listening to that going, there's a lot of guys that can't have that kind of recall, but for him to have it immediately after the game, and it's an emotional game, to be able to have the calm and the cool and the collectiveness, to be able to reflect back on it and really to already be self-correcting, for me, was just impressive.
Yeah, I mean, he really has been impressive, across the board. I mean, just think of all the things that this young guy has had to go through for this season. I mean, there's been distractions, there's been craziness, and then you got to worry about his play, and I think he's really handled it with great poise. And I think that's one of the things, again, that sticks out to me a lot, is how poised he's been in all these situations. And as you said, Jeff, he's handled them really well. And then as far as his recall, he does have really good recall. He does learn quick. He doesn't make a lot of the same mistakes over and over. Once you correct it, then you can say, okay, we've corrected that. That's something that is impressive.
And getting things corrected around him obviously is part of the challenge. Where are you at, and how do you make things better around a young quarterback to give him the greatest chance at success at this point?
Yeah, as you know, I mean, the guys around him are really what's going to determine his success. One guy in this game cannot do it by himself, and so to be able to put a great offense together, you have to have great offensive linemen. That's where it's going to start. You want to be able to run the ball to take some of the pressure off of the quarterback, and then the wideouts have to be able to do their jobs. And whether it's blocking, whether it's catching, whether it's throwing, I mean, I know it sounds almost oversimplified, but that's where we're at right now. That's what we have to do. We have to do a better job of catching the football. Last week I think we have 5 drops. Got to do that better. Got to protect him as well, and then he's got to throw it better at certain opportunities as well.
Yeah, he missed a couple, and that's natural. But I gotta tell you about one play I loved. It was the 30-yard completion to James O'Shaughnessy. We've been seeing the little quick screen to Laviska Shenault Jr. all year, and I've been going, okay, when are we going to see the compliment play?
Yeah.
And you pulled it out, and you hit O'Shaughnessy, and truth be told, he could have hit Laquan Treadwell as well.
Yeah, I mean, we felt like we had good bait on it right there with how many times we've thrown that to 2 Live, and so it worked out for us. We got really good coverage, but we did have 2 guys, and it was good to see us get an explosive play. That's something that we've really been searching for, is to get those bigger gains. And you see what happens when you get those in a drive. That's why they're so important. That's why we talk about them all the time, because those are the drives that you end up scoring on. As you know, Jeff, in the league, it's hard to go 12, 14, 15 play drives and to be able to finish those with scores if you're going 4 yards. Somewhere you got to have an explosive play, and that helped us get one.
All right, Darrell, stand by. We'll come back in just a moment and look ahead to the New York Jets and a familiar face on the opposite sideline. It's the Jaguars Coaches Show on Jaguars Radio.
On the road, there's a thin line between safety and tragedy. Don't cross it. Give law enforcement, first responders, and service professionals the space to safely do their jobs. When you see flashing lights, move over a lane or slow down 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. See lights? Move over, Florida. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
This season, make Pepsi your go-to game day drink because it's the only drink for football watching. Just look for 20-ounce Pepsi products in the cooler door at your local Gate convenience store and see how you could win an exclusive VIP experience at the Jacksonville Zoo and an opportunity to eat lunch with a Jaguars player. Eat with a big cat. Courtesy of Pepsi and Gate. No purchase necessary. Visit jaguars.com/zoo for official rules and details. Ends 12/31/21.
You know Scrubbles is the best car wash in town with our newest location at Kernan and Atlantic. But listen to this. Scrubbles is offering the first ever car wash family plan. Purchase any of our monthly plans and get a $5 discount for up to 3 additional family members. As always, with every wash, you can enjoy free-to-use wipe-down towels, self-service cleaning stations, and that great-smelling Scrubbles air freshener. Visit us today at any one of our convenient locations. Scrubbles, you'll know quality once you arrive.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Welcome back. The Jaguars Coaches Show continues right now.
The Jaguars Coaches Show rolls along. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, and interim head coach Darrell Bevell. The Jaguars face the New York Jets in Week 16 at Metlife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff time on the 26th of December. Some former Jaguars are up there. A handful of players that used to be here are now wearing green for the Jets. A familiar face on the sideline, too. Robert Saleh, former Jaguars linebackers coach, now the head coach. But, Darrell, you and Robert go back to the early days in Seattle. He was a quality control coach on defense. Your first 3 years as the OC in Seattle, how much interaction did you have with him on that staff, and what do you remember about Robert Saleh?
Yeah, I wouldn't say a ton of interaction, right? Because we weren't on the same side of the ball. But as we talked about earlier, Pete does a great job of of all of us working together and crossing over to give communication and information. So we talked to Robert a lot. Really impressed with him. Just really as a young coach, very smart. Very energetic. I think that's another thing that you can see from him, and you kind of felt the presence that he had, and you knew that some good things were going to happen to him down the road.
Yeah, a lot of familiarity on that staff. There are some guys on the defensive side of the ball that obviously worked with Robert when he was here in Jacksonville. And Brant Boyer, Darrell, was actually, when he left Jacksonville, he was the Jaguars' all-time special teams leading tackler and one of my all-time favorite teammates. But a guy that I wanted to bring up, and I didn't know if you crossed paths with him or not, but the late Greg Knapp, who was an offensive coach for the New York Jets. Did you ever have any experience with him at any point in your career in the NFL?
Yeah, unfortunately, we never got an opportunity to coach together, but we did spend a lot of time. I was a younger coach coming up in the ranks as a quarterback coach, and he was the main guy at the combine, and he's the guy that really ran the quarterback room at the combine, and then helped put him through the drills. So as I became an older coach in the ranks, really Greg and I were the two that kind of started to do a little bit more. One year he wasn't there, so then I kind of took his place for that year, and then luckily he came back the next year and took it back over. But yeah, it's just it was definitely a sad day when we got that information, and particularly the way that it happened. But he was a great coach. He was a great mind. He spent a lot of time around some really good quarterbacks, and so I think that speaks to him as well as what type of coach he was, and how good is at the position that he was.
Yeah, and may he rest in peace. He was obviously going to be working very closely with Zach Wilson, and he had a bicycling accident that happened this year, and he didn't make it to the season, and it's very unfortunate. But enough of that. Zach Wilson, the quarterback for the New York Jets, was drafted right behind Trevor Lawrence, and obviously you guys did a ton of work on the quarterbacks, and I'm sure you looked a lot at Zach Wilson, and now you've looked at him a lot as he's a pro in the New York Jets. What do you see when you watch the film on Zach Wilson?
Yeah, you can see some of the stuff that you saw when he was at BYU, and he has the ability to move around in the pocket. He can get outside. He can make big plays down the field with some big time throws, and he can keep those plays alive. I think that's the biggest thing that jumps out, because those second chance opportunities are what's really big. Sometimes you're just in rhythm, you're throwing and catching, that's fine, but when you get those opportunities to escape and get out on the outside, that's where a lot of big plays can happen, and I've seen him do that. He has turned it over a little bit, and that's anytime you're working with some of these young guys, that's always has a chance to creep in.
What kind of personality would you describe him? When you did you talk to him much in the pre-draft process?
Yeah, there was really the three big guys that we ended up doing a lot of work on, and he was one. We spent a lot of time with him. He was very sharp mentally. We did some different things where it was one call that we were on, Zoom call, we had him only talk about the BYU stuff, and we're showing film of him. Then we gave him some information that we wanted him to. We gave him 24 hours to learn, and then 24 hours later we kind of quizzed him on that. So really sharp, really good understanding, very confident young man. Almost has a really nice little swagger about him, and you kind of knew that, okay, this is not going to be too big for him. So going to New York is probably a good place for him.
From watching the film of the pass game against Miami, they're not afraid to throw out a little razzle dazzle on offense. And I was getting my sheet ready, and I'm seeing the name Mike LaFleur. Is that related to the head coach in Green Bay? Mike LaFleur is the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. So is that his brother?
Yes.
Ah, yeah. So did you call Green Bay and say, "Hey, man, I need some tips to beat your brother"?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I would get those tips. I know him as well, but I don't think he would be giving it up to me.
Hey, going back kind of big picture here now, Darrell Bevell with us, interim head coach. All these COVID restrictions have come back up now over the last week or so. I don't know if you followed it around the league or not. All these games have had to move, and there's these positive tests coming along, and knock on wood, the Jaguars have not been impacted too much in at least recently by the COVID-19 stuff. How difficult has that been to navigate over the first weekend?
Yeah, that was my first day. When we got those new protocols put in, and that's always part of the chaos that you have to be able to manage. And we were back in mass in the building. We were back to the social distancing or physical distancing in the building, and then we were even making preparations because we were not going to be able to be allowed to use the indoor anymore or inside our offices anymore. So we were going to basically set up makeshift rooms out in the on our indoor facility to be able to meet in person. Otherwise, everything was going to have to be on Zoom. But fortunately, I think it just came down. So tomorrow we'll be back to basically our normal schedule. We won't have to wear the mask in the building. It's only if you're in the intensive protocols. And as you said, knock on wood, we don't have really anybody that has been in the situation where they've gotten COVID, and so that's going to keep us not in that category.
Well, it's enough to manage an NFL team as it is, and then you add COVID on top of that. I mean, that's a tremendous amount to deal with. But, Darrell, about the New York Jets defense, Robert Saleh obviously comes from a defensive background. And from watching some of the film of the New York Jets defensively, they're struggling a little bit, but they got some really good football players, and they also have some really young players in the secondary in the back end.
Yeah, that's something that we've been spending all day looking at is their defense. It's one that's we're playing professional defense, right? So whoever they have over there, those guys are going to be good players. And as you said, we have old players that were on our team. Mosley's playing the Mike linebacker for him. Really solid but young out in the secondary, and it's going to be a good challenge for us in protection and in the pass game.
All right, Darrell, 3 weeks to go, but, hey, one at a time, right? Going up to New York, it's Christmas week. There's a lot going on and has been a lot going on around here the last couple weeks. How do you get this team focused in and ready to go play this Sunday?
Yeah, again, as I said earlier, I just really trying to work on our mindset. I think that's the most important thing that we need right now. We need that believer's mindset. We need to know that we still have things to play for. We know that the playoffs is not in it for us this year, but we have three games to go. And I always talk to these guys about everything matters, and everything we do, how we present ourselves, walking down the hallway, people seeing us on the street, and then as we're playing this game, the way we're preparing during the week, and then when you put it on tape, the tape is your resume. And whether your resume is for the people that you're sitting here that are watching it or people across the league, there's always somebody watching, and everything that you do matters. And you want to put the best resume on tape that you can. We don't get to fill it out and put it down. It's all right there on tape for everybody to see. And, that's kind of the mindset that I want these guys going into, that, the name on the front's important, but you're playing for the name on the back as well. And you want to present yourself in a great way.
I think that's very important to pass that message on. And, Darrell, this week you guys are traveling on Christmas Day, and the NFL doesn't know any holidays. Just wanted to say to you and your family, Merry Christmas, and I hope you guys enjoy the week.
Appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you guys as well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well done. Thanks for the time, Darrell. Back with more. It's the Jaguars Coaches Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa Debit Card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Great teams leave it all on the field. But with the powerful towing and payload that Ford F-150 delivers, you can take it all with you, too. No wonder Ford F-Series is America's best-selling truck 44 years straight. The 2021 Ford F-150, built for greatness. Visit your local Ford dealer or buyfordnow.com. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
Any repeated physical activity puts stress on the body. Checking your phone, getting in the car, sitting at your desk. Checking the phone, getting in your car, sitting at your desk. Checking your phone for the 50th time today. If you do anything with regularity, you should get massaged with regularity. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Regular body work makes the body work with massage, skincare, and stretch. Come in today for more information or visit massageenvy.com for more details.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Welcome back. The Jaguars Coaches Show continues right now.
Welcome back. It is the Jaguars Coaches Show. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. Our thanks to interim head coach Darrell Bevell joining us in the first half hour tonight. I got to tell you, that's the sound of somebody who's been in the league for 21 years. I mean, he's been around this game since 2000 when he joined the Green Bay Packers organization as an assistant quarterbacks coach. It's not an ideal situation. He knows that. It wasn't last year in Detroit either, but it's what's given him, and he's going to do the best he can down the final 3 weeks here.
Well, and I got a lot of respect for the job that he's done so far. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, to be able to, towards the end of a season and a year that's been very difficult, all of a sudden you're asked to handle all the head coaching duties, and you don't have time to put your complete fingerprints on everything, but you want to certainly try to do some things that are different. And I think Darrell's done a nice job so far of handling the media, handling the head coaching responsibilities. And from a player standpoint, I'm sure that they like to hear answers. They like to hear somebody in front of the room that is straight up, and I'm sure that they are enjoying every minute of it. and trying to be nice there, JP, to what's happened in the past.
Right? Yeah, it's different. It's different.
You know, but
no, we weren't in the meeting rooms.
But I like what he's done as far as allowing Brian Schottenheimer to do the play calling responsibilities, because I mean, it's the right thing to do for two reasons. One, the offense has struggled. There's no questioning that. And so now it can allow Darrell to handle the head coaching responsibility, and you know what? Let somebody else try it.
Yeah, why not?
Right? I mean, maybe you find a little better continuity. Maybe you find just a little better rhythm offensively with Brian making the calls, and so I'm all for it. I'm very, I don't want to say surprised, but I'm happy that he has decided to do that, because that's not what he did in Detroit. He did not give up the play calling responsibility, but when you have a guy like Brian Schottenheimer on staff, it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable doing that. But kudos to him. I mean, could have kept the job and said, no, I'm going to keep calling plays, and that's my gig. That's cool.
There's a lot of other things that go into it, obviously, during the week. You mentioned it, some of the media stuff, but in-game, just figuring out what's going on defense, field position, challenging, everything. You have to have a bigger picture look a lot of times at the game.
Yeah, when to use the timeouts, when to go for it on fourth down. I mean, there's a lot of different things, handling player substitution, I mean, that's
right.
Which is handled by the head coach.
Yes.
Okay, no matter what else anybody else says.
Sometimes it is, yes.
So, and I'm sure that some of the coaches on the coaching staff are appreciative of Darrell Bevell and the difference that it is.
Let's come back in a moment and get back to this Jaguars offense and see if they can jumpstart something.
I hope they can, JP, because
I hope so too.
I kind of thought last week would be an opportunity to do that, but it didn't happen. But it's an opportunity this week. Certainly, a young defense in New York is going to give you some chances.
This is the Jaguars Coaches Show on Jaguars Radio.
On the road, there's a thin line between safety and tragedy. Don't cross it. Give law enforcement, first responders, and service professionals the space to safely do their jobs. When you see flashing lights, move over a lane or slow down 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. See lights? Move over, Florida. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
Hold on. You want me to tell them about Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea in just 30 seconds? This is impossible. Hey, I'm Billy from Twisted Tea. How can I explain that first sip of cold, smooth, real brewed tea? So good! And the extra kick you get from just the right amount of alcohol? The twist of lemon, Wait, what? We're almost out of time? Oh, shit. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Look for the bright yellow cans wherever you buy beer.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Are you a Jags and a pet fanatic? Then enter for a chance to win your very own customized jersey and answer game day trivia live on the TIAA Bank Field video boards at an upcoming Jaguars home game and our Pet Fanatic of the Game sweepstakes presented by Pet Paradise. To enter, scan the QR code on the Sky Patio or go to jaguars.com/fanatic. Terms and conditions apply. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Must be 18 or older and a legal resident of Florida or Georgia.
Too many bicyclists are involved in traffic crashes while riding at night. So always make sure you're visible when you're riding, especially at night. Use bike lights and wear light or reflective clothing. And drivers, make sure you're watching for bicyclists and moving over to keep them safe. Remember, no matter what pedals power you, always pedal safely. Brought to you by Alert Today Florida, because safety doesn't happen by accident.
Welcome back. The Jaguars Coaches Show continues right now.
Welcome back to the Jaguars Coaches Show on the Jaguars Radio Network. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Our thanks to interim head coach Darrell Bevell. He joined us in the first half hour. Good conversation with Darrell, who's been at this for a long time in the NFL. His second opportunity as an interim head coach in as many seasons. And 3 weeks to go for the Jaguars here in the 2021 campaign. Of course, this week they'll face the New York Jets at MetLife Stadium. It's not a great matchup in terms of wins and losses, but an opportunity for this Jags team to try to get something going, at least offensively. And it felt like, at least early in the game, they had a little something, right? They had a 10-play touchdown drive when they needed it. James Robinson got in the game, and hey, guess what? He ran 18 times for 75 yards and a touchdown. And, you know, they had and Trevor Lawrence said this after the game. It felt better. We just got to finish some things, catch the ball, and I've got to hit some guys that are open. He said that, and it just still it fits and starts offensively, to say it nicely.
Well, we had an opportunity there to tie it up. It was a one-possession game at 23-16, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And that was after you got the field goal. But, I mean, even that drive was a little bit disappointing because it was a 3-and-out. Mm-hmm. So with it since the interception, essentially you had 3 offensive drives that were 3-and-outs. And that's when you got to come back. I mean, you got to make a play. Somebody has to do something that impacts the game to where you can get on the scoreboard, and it didn't happen. And that's the part that's disappointing. At some point, you got to be able to make some plays to make something happen on offense, and it's just not happening right now. And it's frustrating. And and Darrell was right as far as when we talked about that one play that they got to James O'Shaughnessy for 30 yards, and those are the kind of plays that lead you to scoring possessions, and he's right. And you got to get more of them. And the more that you can get, the better off you're going to be, the more chance you're going to have of scoring points, because those explosive plays are what makes drives go. You go back, and it's very rare that you find a drive that's just kind of a plodding drive where it's 5 and 6 yards, or 3 yards and 7 yards. Usually there's 1 or 2 or 3 big plays in a drive, and we always can kind of consider explosive plays, and coaches have always considered explosive plays. And there's kind of 2 levels. One is a 10-plus yard run, but most people say it's a 15-plus yard run, and then also a 15-plus yard catch is about kind of the average. So typically a big play would be considered 15-yard reception, 15-yard or more reception, and then a 10-yard or more rush. And how many did you get in that game? You didn't have enough. I mean, but when you get them, you can see the impact that it has. I mean, just like the James O'Shaughnessy play, 30 yards, bam. You get down there and you have an opportunity at scoring points, and that's what you need more of.
Got to have more of that. Got to have a little more offensive line consistency as well down the stretch.
Well, consistency everywhere, and that's the disappointing thing. And the offensive line was supposed to be an area of strength, and the commitment to the running game was supposed to be an area of strength, which I don't know if the commitment has been what it needs to be for whatever reason. It was better this past game than it had been in previous games, and that's a positive. And look, it would have been great to have your 2 backs, but you can't just keep sitting there going, well, we lost, this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy, because every team can say that, and that's just part of the National Football League. You have to deal with injuries, and nowadays you got to deal with injuries and COVID.
Yeah, ask the Washington football team tonight.
Yeah, I just looked at their roster. I think it's 14 players, and I don't know if they're all active roster guys or practice squad guys, but I think it's 14 active roster guys that are on the COVID list.
And then not to mention like 6 assistant coaches.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
And how many do you have on practice squad now? 16?
That's right.
So, you got – I don't even know if you got enough. I mean, because if you get hit at one position, then you're in real trouble.
I mean, and they're down to their 3rd quarterback tonight. Garrett Gilbert's starting for Washington, and yeah.
Yeah, it's
other 2 quarterbacks are positive.
It's crazy, and it's amazing how some teams like this team, knock on wood, don't have an issue.
That's right. I think there are only actually right now, and then we're being very careful saying this, I think there are 3 teams that don't have anybody on the COVID-19 list right now. Jags are one of them.
Do you remember the other 2?
I do not.
I don't either.
Let's just keep it that way.
Yeah. Keep knocking on wood.
Yeah, please. Let's come back in a moment. Defense and special teams. Special teams had some issues this past week, Logs.
They sure did. That's a problem.
Oh, it's not good. I'll say that.
Led to 14 points.
Not good. I'll say that. This is the Jaguars Coaches Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa Debit Card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Pinpoint, the official signage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, helps business decision makers like you maximize the impact of their brand. Your company's identification, advertising, and even the words you use make an impression on your clients. With Pinpoint as your coach, you can make sure it's a good impression. Pinpoint provides the creative design and production services for anything you need to enhance your brand, from custom signage to complete marketing solutions. Step up your game with Pinpoint and create the ultimate brand experience for your clients. Visit experiencepinpoint.com. Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Great teams leave it all on the field. But with the powerful towing and payload that Ford F-150 delivers, you can take it all with you too. No wonder Ford F-Series is America's best-selling truck 44 years straight. The 2021 Ford F-150, built for greatness. Visit your local Ford dealer or buyfordnow.com. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
Roof Claim is a proud supporter of professional football and the Jacksonville Jaguars. They built their company on an idea that homeowners deserve to be winners. When a home is damaged by severe weather, Roof Claim can identify the damage, work with your insurance company, and help you professionally replace your roof. At Roof Claim, they make protection simple. Visit their website at roofclaim.com to schedule your free drone or in-person inspection.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Welcome back. The Jaguars Coaches Show continues right now.
Welcome back. The Jaguars Coaches Show does continue right now. I'm JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, Joe Fortunato on the audio, Brent Reber on the video on Jaguars.com and Jags social media. Darrell Bevell is the interim head coach. He joined us in the first half hour. And this will be the format moving ahead the next couple weeks as well, as the Jaguars face the Jets this week in Week 16. Jags defense last week got a takeaway. Hasn't happened a lot this year. Tyson Campbell with a 9th interception when the Jags needed it, and they got a score after that to get within and make it a one-possession game, which was good. But
real quick, let me stop you right there. The interception by Tyson Campbell, first of all, it was a very good play. Very good play. And going to do a little self-promotion here.
Oh, yes.
Going to be breaking it down in the football lab.
I love this part of the coaches show.
On
the
Jags
self-promotion
Wire.
portion of the coaches show.
It's a pretty cool situation. First of all, it's always about numbers when you look and break down defenses and football. Statistics are everything nowadays. What are they called?
Analytics.
Analytics is a fancier term for it, but it's numbers, right? It's all numbers. And on that play, you got to look at the first analytic number, which is 9, which is a 3rd and 9 situation, right? That's a great down and distance to be able to do things defensively. it's a favorable down and distance, and especially when you're facing a young quarterback. And we're going to break this down on Jaguars, but just to give you a little preview, the Jaguars had 7 guys overloaded on one side and 9 that were showing to come. So if you're Davis Mills, you're thinking, uh-oh, here comes an all-out blitz cover 0.
Better let this thing go.
So he's thinking the outside wide receiver that Tyson Campbell was going to follow him on an in route. But he just kind of backs off when the receiver drives up the field, and that's all he kind of sees because here comes the pressure. Well, then the tight end, Akins, is running an out route. So Tyson is just sitting there. He's just waiting. And then when Davis Mills throws the ball, he jumps right in front. Great play, but think about this. That's his 2nd interception this year. How many collegiate interceptions did Tyson Campbell have? Do you know how many?
Off the top of my head, no, I don't. 1, that was it.
1.
How about that?
He had 1 interception at Georgia. And so we're talking about a young player that's getting better. I mean, 2nd interception, he's been playing exceptionally well of late. That's what you wanted to have all of your young players starting to show, and then you wanted to see your team start to have that kind of trajectory.
And I liked hearing him after the game talk about his progression in coverage and seeing the ball and not letting receivers get away from him and how that's grown as the season has gone along. And hearing him talk through that tells you that he's not just falling into it. There's been some work on it.
He's a good football player. He had a really, really tough little stretch there earlier in the season, and it takes a special individual to be able to kind of bounce back or to fight through that, however you want to call it. And he's done that, and he's also been able to do that while battling some injuries because he hasn't been completely healthy. And so for that reason, I give him a lot of credit. That was a heck of a play there because you remember what I was saying about him after watching his collegiate film. And look, this guy they can make a Marvel character or Marvel character out of him, whatever you want to call it, and call him the Shadow. But I said he's got to work on his ball skills. So when the ball's in the air, that's when he has to improve. And, okay, now he's got 2 interceptions. All right, now starting to see a little improvement. That's good. I like to see that. And, by the way, congratulations, Malcolm Brown, getting his first career sack as a Jaguar.
Well, yeah, first Jaguar sack, yeah. Nice.
And really good job blocking on James Robinson's 1-yard touchdown run. That was a really solid job.
Yeah.
And, by the way, remember the question I asked Darrell Bevell about the complement play to the quick screen that they've been running a bunch of, the Laviska Shenault. Going to break it down Thursday night, JP.
A double plug here.
We're gonna break that one down for Jaguars All Access on Thursday night, and we will be at Strings Brewery. But we will break that one down and talk about how kind of surprised that hasn't been used before or is not used more often because it's a natural play that goes along with that quick screen.
When we return, some special teams thoughts, and there are plenty. We have a limited amount of time to get those in.
I'll be quick.
And we will look ahead to the Jaguars and the Jets. This is the Jaguars Coaches Show on Jaguars Radio.
On the road, there's a thin line between safety and tragedy. Don't cross it. Give law enforcement, first responders, and service professionals the space to safely do their jobs. When you see flashing lights, move over a lane or slow down 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. See lights? Move over, Florida. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles and the Florida Highway Patrol.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
At VyStar Credit Union, you inspire us to deliver on our promise, to do good for our members and our communities. That's why we offer more banking options, like better rates and no hidden fees. We also give back, donating several $1 million to hundreds of nonprofits each year. Better financial lives, stronger communities. ViStar Credit Union. Do good. Bank better. Visit vistarcu.org/join. Insured by NCUA.
This season, make Pepsi your go-to game day drink because it's the only drink for football watching. Just look for 20-ounce Pepsi products in the cooler door at your local Gate convenience store and see how you could win an exclusive VIP experience at the Jacksonville Zoo and an opportunity to eat lunch with a Jaguars player. Eat with a big cat. Courtesy of Pepsi and Gate. No purchase necessary. Visit jaguars.com/zoo for official rules and details. Ends 12/31/21.
Hey Jags fans, this is Chris Manhurst of the Jacksonville Jaguars with a reminder that everyone has a right to arrive at their destination safely. In Florida, bicyclists have the same rights and the same responsibilities as drivers. When cycling, always wear a properly secured helmet, ride in the direction of traffic, and obey all traffic laws. When driving, get rid of distractions and focus on the road. Always watch for pedestrians and bicyclists, especially at night, because safety doesn't happen by accident. Visit alerttodayflorida.com for more safety tips.
You know Scrubbles is the best car wash in town with our newest location at Kernan and Atlantic. But listen to this. Scrubbles is offering the first ever car wash family plan. Purchase any of our monthly plans and get a $5 discount for up to 3 additional family members. As always, with every wash, you can enjoy free-to-use wipe-down towels, self-service cleaning stations, and that great-smelling Scrubbles air freshener. Visit us today at any one of our convenient locations. Scrubbles, you'll know quality once you arrive.
Welcome back. The Jaguars Coaches Show continues right now.
We're back. Final moments of the first Jaguars Coaches Show. This was the Urban Meyer Show. Darrell Bevell, interim head coach, joining us in the first half hour from here on out on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock on the Jaguars Radio Network. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. Special teams last week. Yeah, it wasn't a great day at the office all around.
Well, you had a great opportunity to get off the field on the very first drive of the game, and you get to fourth down, you got to stop. I think it was a three
and out. Yes.
And you got hands to the face, and all of a sudden that keeps the drive alive for the Texans. They take it down, score a touchdown, and then you have the 98-yard kick return. And there's one player that would like to have a redo on that kick return.
Probably a couple, but go ahead.
Well, there's a couple, but the one guy he had his arms around the returner, on the returner, and they just it was bad. It was Rudy Ford, who's supposed to be, they brought him in to be a special teams ace, and obviously has transitioned.
Yeah, that's right.
Into a prominent role as the starting nickel, but his performance on that play was bad. Yeah, he should have made the tackle, but it happened, and he wasn't the only one. Other guys could have done a better job of staying in their lanes, et cetera. But yeah, that's any times, and the percentages of winning a football game when you give up a special team score are very small.
Yeah, no doubt. And Jadon Mickens had the punt return where he went back to in his own end zone at one point, came back 40-something yards, but then there was a penalty running into the official on the sideline. DeJuan Smoot apparently came off the sideline. There was interference called. They moved it back. It was just one of those days.
And that was, by the rule book, that was the correct call. A lot of people were saying, they shouldn't have called that. Smoot, the play was dead. You can't run into an official while he's trying to do his job.
Know how to get down and mark the ball, right?
The white stripe is an off-limits area. That's where the officials operate, and you can't leave the bench area to celebrate and run into an official. And it's not like you don't want to get mad at him or anything like that for committing the foul, but Smoot's got to be better than that. He's a smarter player than that. That's 2 weeks in a row that he's had a penalty that has been a mental penalty. The one where he lined up offsides in Tennessee, that's a mental error penalty. And then coming off of the bench, running into an official, to negate a strong punt return in which Jadon Mickens should have never fielded the ball.
I asked Bevell after the game on the postgame show, does he have a green light? He's like, yeah, no, we really don't teach that.
No, we're not trying to do that there. Yeah, the old rule of thumb is that you don't try to field a punt inside the 10.
Nope.
And that one was inside the 5.
And he had to go back and retreat into the end zone even. All right, so moving ahead, the Jaguars and the New York Jets, Week 16, the top 2 quarterbacks from the draft last year, Logs.
Yeah, neither one of them are doing very well. That's just the reality of it. And but, this game is not going to be a highly watched game for any other reason but then to evaluate the performance of these 2 young quarterbacks, because the comparison and to draw the comparison is natural when you have a 1 and a 2. And it's no different than when you have a game against the 3rd pick or upcoming another first-round pick quarterback in the New England Patriots situation.
Mac
so
Jones.
That's the way it works. That's just the way it goes.
Joe Fortunato on the audio side, Brent Reber on the video side. Our thanks to interim head coach Darrell Bevell. For Jeff Lageman, I'm JP Shadrick. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we will talk to you next week. It's the Jaguars Coaches Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.